Good morning, everybody. Let's wait for a few people to join. Good morning, Clark. Good morning, Jean-Frédéric. Good morning, Cyan. Morning, Zachary. Good morning, Brian. Good evening. Good morning, Eunice.
Good morning, Reza. Morning, everyone.
Good morning, Brandy. Good morning, Myra.
I was on mute. Good morning.
Hey.
Hey.
Morning, Andre.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. We'll just give it a few more minutes. Let's get a quorum, and then we're ready to go.
So is it also as hot in your place as it is in my place?
Ridiculous. Good morning, Drea.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, John.
Let's see, maybe I should be on this.
This sounds like the Waltons, doesn't it? Good night, John boy. Good night.
Let's see.
Okay.
Settings.
Fantastic.
Speaker.
So, Doc, I had a lot of fun looking at your Flickster.
At my Flickster, which I have two Flickr accounts. Is it the one with nothing but towers, or is it? Or is it?
I believe I said that wrong, but yeah, it had a lot of stuff. You're a pretty cool photographer. I didn't know that. I knew the journalist, I knew the author, the blogger, the work at Harvard and RVM and all of that, but I didn't know the photography part. That was really, really fun to go through.
Thanks. It's a lot to go through. It's funny.
Yeah, I couldn't go through all of it.
No, it's just 80,000, I think, that are exposed online. I'm basically a visual guy. I'm known as a writer and to a lesser extent as a talker, but I see I navigate the world very visually. I'm very much and photography is for me it's not an art. It's more like a documentary purpose. I like to shoot photos and put them in as close to the public domain as I can get them while seeing what people do with them. That's why I have generally a license that's attribution only. And those photos on Flickr get thousands of views every day. In total, they've had 10, 15 million views, something like that. And there are thousands of them in Wikipedia, and I didn't put any of them there. Other people do. And that's because I encouraged it without even saying it. They're just there. They're easy to find. And my mustache itches. Forgive me. It's for some reason it's doing that right now. See.
Well, I'm looking forward to your talk today. So
thank you.
I don't know, Reza, do you think we have
I think we've got a quorum. Yeah, we're not outnumbered by note takers, so I think this is good. We're over our 20 attendee mark. Happy Kwaai Day, everybody. This is the 58th weekly public meeting of Kwaai, September the 6th, and I'm going to hand over to Myra, who's going to MC the agenda.
Okay, so like we said, did you want to do the welcome and Kwaai updates, Reza?
I can do that, yeah.
And then we'll have our talk with Doc and then the work group updates. And I really feel like we didn't have too much time to hear community voices last time, so I definitely want to hear from our members. So, Reza, it's all you.
Fantastic. Okay, it's been a really busy week. My focus has been on grant writing in the midst of a California Learning Labs grant, a grant application that is a $1.5 million grant. We've met all the intermediate milestones. We're in the sort of final stage of prepping this grant proposal, deadline September 10th. So that's what my focus is. And then coming straight after that is another grant application with a deadline of September 15th. And then there's a collection of European grants as well that will apply through our European chapter. And gosh, now that I've started this process, I'm getting information and leads for all sorts of other grants. So this seems like a very fertile avenue of energies. The good news is once you've written one of these grants, you can repurpose the content and you start developing a muscle memory for grant writing. So that's what my focus is on. I've skipped a bunch of meetings, and I'm just grateful that the organization just keeps going. You guys have the work groups keep going, and looking forward to that. Let me introduce our Chief Intention Officer, the notorious, eponymous, the guru of intention, the intention economy. I have my book handily next to me all the time as a reference guide. No introduction necessary. You're right. So Doc, welcome. Thank you so much. You're a returning offender. So repeat, and here is your rap sheet. So welcome. So maybe Myra, tell us, you've been doing some research on Doc. What have you uncovered that other people might not know?
Get the ham radio there. Wow.
I mean, there is a lot about you out there. There was no lack of information. Like I said in the beginning, the photographer was the part that kind of stood out to me, and the vast array of photographs you've taken. I don't know over how long, but I love finding the childhood ones. So I want to know a little bit more about this little guy in the corner. And I think that's your Searls group, is it? At the top?
No, the top right there is actually Hodgkins, Simoni, and Searls. That's David Hodgkins, Ray Simoni, and myself. They were two of the Doc nickname comes from having told jokes on a radio. I worked for a station at Duke University. That's in Durham, North Carolina, where that photo was taken. And the station was a commercial station. The station was so small, we had trouble selling advertisers. So I made up ads for things that didn't exist. And then I just started doing goofing stuff on the radio. Somebody else named that character Dr. Dave. I did not. David's my given name. There are too many of them in the world. So so one of these two guys, the guy in the middle, Ray Simoni, called me. He's a great artist. And we talked about doing work together. And then David Hodgkins, who's on the left there, jumped in and said, yeah, we got to talk. And that talk turned into eventually an ad agency, which specialized in tech. That was in North Carolina. And then we had a client there that said, you know, boys, there's more action in one street in Sunnyvale than there is in all in North Carolina. And we came to Silicon Valley and succeeded there. We had a building in Palo Alto that had our names on it. It was we had Symantec, if you remember, Peter Norton with his crossed arms. That was something that Ray Simoni came up with. And it was a fun time. And that's how I got to Silicon Valley and how I got further into tech. And but it probably started on the lower right there with ham radio.
I want to hear more about that, kid.
Well, the ham radio, I've always loved radio. And I grew up looking across, I mean, before the trees grew in the way, you could see out my bedroom window across the New Jersey. They call it Meadowlands now. They were swamps then, at the New York skyline. And they were filled with towers. And those are AM radio stations. And I used to go down on my bike and visit the stations to talk to the old engineers. And I just got into radio. It's just wireless is just this mysterious, wonderful thing. I was a ham radio operator for about a year. But I was a terrible student. I would have been diagnosed as ADD and given Ritalin if I grew up in a recent decade, but I didn't. And I was always a good learner, but I was never a good student. So my parents sent me away to a Lutheran academic correctional institution to make me a better student. And so the ham radio went away during that time because it was a boarding school, but I had fun with it while it was there. And that box, actually it's the transmitter there, but the receiver I still have. If anybody's in North Carolina and wants that old receiver, it's a nice instrument. It still exists. It's been built in the 1940s, actually. So, you know, I also look at these pictures and I think, you know, I kind of wish I still had hair, but I don't, you know, because that goes away over time. When my second favorite onion hairline is male hair loss the study shows male hair loss is 7 times more painful than childbirth, which may be true. It's slow-mo, but there it is. You're shaking your head. So yeah, exactly. It's a bad joke. Anyway, but mostly as I say in my blog, I just try to make shit happen. That's basically what I try to do. That's my calling in life, just making stuff happen. And I say shit happen because I'm from New Jersey and we talk like that.
I love that. I think there was a certain topic you wanted Doc to touch on.
Yeah, I thought maybe, Doc, you took one for the team. Thank you very much for going to attend DWeb camp.
Yeah.
So for some of us, that's not the idea of fun, being out in the wilderness and showerless and stuff like that, and camping out and with like-minded fellows to ponder the future of the internet. I was hoping you'd give us a debrief, maybe a report on what happened at DWeb.
Sure. I actually have a presentation prepared.
Fantastic.
So if I can do the sharing thing, let me click on that. Share now. I'll go, which one is it? Okay. Chrome's not a Chrome tab. Oh, Microsoft, go screw yourselves. Google. All right. If I want to go to, I don't want to look at a tab. I want to actually go to.
Do you want to send it to me, Doc? Do you want to just Slack it to me?
Well, I'd like to step through it, damn it. And that.
Yeah, of course. No.
Yeah, it's there's the Chrome tab and then there's the window. So if
it's the window. I thought it was okay. There we go. There we go. Thank you. I'm used to Zoom, so there it is. My infinity mirror. Okay, I'll dismiss that. So I'll do the full screen thing here. So that's not the slide I want. Okay, it's this one. I'll go to that one, and I'm actually powered through this. So DWeb Camp is put on by the Internet Archive, and which is just a treasure. Diminished a bit because they lost the case yesterday. Maybe Richard could tell us more about that. But it's up in the Redwoods in Northern California at a camp up there. It's a Boy Scout camp, but it's after they're closed or during a hiatus in their functioning in August. And so all these people are among the giant redwoods. It's very wonderful and lush and sweet and fun that way. And it looks kind of like this from the kind of the dining hall. There this time, that was a year ago that this picture came from, but there were over 500 people there at this time. And they meet in sessions all over the place. A lot of them are planned for 2 days, but then on the third day, it's wide open and people put as they do at IAW, they put their sessions up onto these big panels and break out and go to different places. Most of the sessions look kind of like this and or this, and here's Michael. I don't know if Michael's on this, and Michael Grossman's on the right. He's one of us, so I wasn't alone there. I wasn't the only one taking it for the team. It's a nice, sexy picture of Michael there. And this is a year ago. So the breakout session we had, this is me and a guy named Tommy who's from Italy and whose English is possibly even better than mine, about ask your AI about your life. We actually had, there were no connections last year, but except for this one room. And we, somebody took my entire corpus at Linux Journal and put it through an LLM, and you could ask it questions, a lot like what we're trying to do with we did with Bruce Schneier, and we're capable of doing. Anyway, we did it then, and we showed that off, and that was fun. And were I to, and this year, I just had personal AI as a topic, and I'm using my hands here. It's kind of funny because I don't know if you can see me or not, but anyway, and that turned into, like, they pushed a whole bunch of sessions together that I ran, and about 30 people showed up. But here is what I would have wanted to talk about if I were able to present slides, you might say. One is, and these are things that I've put up online. These are articles or essays that I put on my blog. This is something that Sam Altman actually said last November, that he saw AI is giving personal empowerment and agency at a scale we've never seen before. I think he thought that he's going to give it to us. I don't think that can be done. We have to do it for ourselves. And when I put that, asked an AI to visualize that, it gave me these 4 choices, which are right out of Dianetics, it looks like to me. But anyway, and I wrote about personal versus personalized AI, because right now, what we call personal AI, if we're getting it from ChatGPT or Perplexity or any of those. It's personalized, it's not ours. I mean, it's coming from a mainframe somewhere. It's coming from giant clouds. It's not our own. And I think it needs to be our own. And I've tried to get that image to sort of show that. And I also called it the people's AI. I think that's the end state that we need, is that we have a kind of AI that is ours and not theirs. And getting there, I think, is a real challenge. And I had another piece called a personal AI greenfield, because I think it really is. I think it's a gigantic greenfield. At the small print there, it says, as imagined by, and that's actually by ChatGPT. And I enhanced it with Adobe's Photoshop to get it to spell PAI right, because it couldn't do that. And this is an image I've shown you guys before. This is my ideal. And it's actually not how though we talk about intent casting a lot, and I think that matters a lot. And I'd love to see us make it happen. Getting control of our personal lives, I think, is the highest challenge. Pulling our schedules, our business relationships, our subscriptions, including all the ways we're being screwed by the subscription systems of the world, our past and present work that we've done, our CV basically was on LinkedIn, or we keep off LinkedIn but matter to us, all our contacts, getting rid of the dead ones and the redundant ones and the ones that we're no longer in touch with that exceed our Dunbar's number. All of our healthcare, which is now scattered everywhere, especially if as you get older and move around, it's scattered all over the place. All the property we have, our movement in the world, our locations where we've been, not just, what our car is basically snitching on us to Toyota or Nissan or State Farm or whoever else is paying them for information that our car is leaking out at all times with our permission, because in order to buy that car, we had to agree to it. If you have a new car, that's what's going on with it. Financial records, schedules. That's sort of my thing. At the bottom there is the URL where that series is located. This is the meeting that we had, and somebody recorded it. I can't find her. She's the 1 second from the right in this image, and that's her phone that recorded the entire thing. And I think we peaked at about 32 people in this session, where we talked about a lot of stuff. And it's hard to generalize on it, but this is what somebody wrote on we didn't have a whiteboard. We had this, and they first wrote Kauai spelled wrong, and they crossed that out. And somebody actually wrote, you decide like how we spell it. I don't know. We talked a lot about solid. Tim Berners-Lee was there a year ago. The idea behind solid, that this is our stuff. We need a place to keep the stuff that we care about. So we talked about hardware a lot. Do we need our own hardware? This computing with .love was an item, MemGPT, TinyML. So I have some questions, and I don't know, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. It's very quiet, so is it sure? And I can't look at the crowd. And these are things that are at the top of my mind right now if we want to get to people's AI. What really is personal AI, and can it ever be as fully personal and private as our shoes, our laptop, or our car? New cars are no longer private. We think they are. They're not. I think Mozilla did a big study on this. There are actually some that could tell whether or not you are having sex in your car. They could find that out. It's a bad thing, and it's not as big an issue as it ought to be. But we want these things to be personal. Can we build what Apple, Google, and Microsoft can't or won't? These guys are putting monstrous amounts of money and effort into, and especially in Apple's case, I think that what they're going to do next week is talk about personal AI, and they're going to give us something, but it's going to be inside their silo. And we're competing against that. How do we do that? What can we find that they can't or won't do? And how can it extend us in McLuhan's sense? Marshall McLuhan said that all tools and all technology is an extension of us. It is, our bicycle is an extension of our feet and our hands. We become the bicycle. We are this instrument that has wheels. We're not just walking anymore. We're rolling. And when we speak about, we're riding in our car, those are, my fenders, my wheels, my engine, and that's a carapace that is an enlargement of ourselves. Can personal AI do that? Or is it going to be something so totally external to us that we don't have a sense of full agency over it? How can we use external storage, compute, and AI functions without becoming suburbs of them? In other words, we are going to job stuff out to the ChatGPTs and Anthropics of the world to some degree. How can we prevent that from taking us over in some sense, or always relying only on that and saying that's good enough? Because that's sort of the assumption we have right now in a more general sense than here. And will personal AI work best on hardware of our own that's external to our laptops and phones? At that session, we did talk a lot about hardware, and there was actually almost I would say, a consensus that, this is a specialty thing. We're going to need iron of our own that can do graphical processing and all the rest of it. And we've talked a lot, and really Reza's leading on this, is can we plug into a mesh of each other so we could use their storage, their compute, in a SETI at home sense where we, in a community sense, we rely on each other for some of this stuff without, giving up any privacy in the process of that. I mean, on the assumption that we're not going to have enough compute power right on our desktops or even our attached storage to do all that. I think that's, oh yeah. And can any of these bigs really be our friends? I'm not sure they can. But we're going to need to rely on them to some degree. So that's basically it. And I hope it came in under a time limit. So there you go. Let me stop the share. Or should I keep sharing it just so that, thanks. Yeah.
That was great. That was a good summary of that. And you said you weren't alone. You had was Michael with you?
Michael was there for that one.
Yeah.
And there was just Steve. I don't know, Steve, were you there? Yeah, I took adversarial interoperability. There's the chat. I have to look at the chat. Yeah, there were even showers. Oh, Michael is here. The hot water, depending on which shower you used. I found another shower that was not nearby that was great. The shower worked. And even on the other side of the wall at that one place. A year ago, there was almost no connectivity. This time there's a lot of connectivity. And I stayed they put me in a cabin with other, not all elderly people, but there were 6 guys in there, and 3 of them had CPAP machines, and we were all plugged in. So,
with the CPAP machines
I know
buzzing.
it sounded like they all sounded like Darth Vader in there. I mean, it's like,
Where was it located? What was the venue?
Oh, if you are going to go to Fort Bragg, which is in the Mendocino coast, you take a road called 128 that goes through Philo and Anderson Valley and places like that on the way to Fort Bragg. And I think it breaks off in Cloverdale. It's before.
And which airport did you fly into?
I flew into SFO and then I caught a ride. Okay. Yeah, I caught a ride.
There's no airport near it.
No.
The closest, I mean, Mendocino is far from it, but the closest thing that people have heard of.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Santa Rosa is a small airport, but yeah, SFO is where you go. Yeah, I came in from SFO.
Michael, thanks, and Doc, thanks for taking one for the team and enduring the gosh.
It was fun. I highly recommend going there, and I should plug, and I didn't put it in here, that both VRM Day and I are the last week in October, and
is the Eventbrite link ready to go live?
Oh yeah, no, it's live. It's
you told us last week don't disseminate it.
Yeah, I'll put it in here. It's
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, Doc's doing that, Reza. I do want to say that you keep referring to our taking one for the team. It really is fun. I really, I don't want people here to think that it's boot camp. It's it's a really fun thing to do.
They have good food.
Company.
It's glamping in a way. Really, it is.
Okay. Yeah. I'll see if I can persuade my wife for next year.
And I failed to persuade mine for the last 2 years, but she did go the first time, so maybe next time.
I think she's just voted. Okay, well, fantastic. Thanks so much. Thanks for your report.
Welcome.
Also very inspiring just giving us a recap of what are the guiding principles. What is our destination? I think that's it. You describe a vision of what the end state is, and we as an organization are trying to rally people around that vision. The mission is to get to that end state. And we might not take a linear path to getting there. We might take a path that along a road that looks like, hey, this is corporate AI. And I know I got that feedback yesterday when I was giving a recap of the beta that we're going to run, a closed beta in the academic setting, in EDUs, in colleges and universities. And whilst that is not personal AI as you describe it, it's got the ingredients of it, and it's a stepping stone to getting there. And I'll talk more about that later on. But I just want to thank Doc so much for your input. I think we've got time for some questions before we move on to the work group updates and the community update. Right, so John's first with his hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say,
Raise
Doc,
your hand, John Connors.
I did. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Great. So Doc, did you hang out with Brewster? He's a good guy. I know him from the ephemeral sailing community. He's a good guy.
Bruce is great. He's just awesome. He's a hero.
And can you tell us just quickly about the lawsuit they lost? Because I wasn't familiar with the lawsuit that they lost.
Oh, actually, Richard, probably you ought to speak to that one because you probably are watching that.
I'll try to put the 30-second layman version. So during the pandemic, so Internet Archive has a variety of things where they take printed materials, they digitize them and make them available, lending policies that are fairly constrained so that's not viewed as anything other than fair use. During the pandemic, they basically made a wider distribution to schools that didn't otherwise have access because they were closed, and this is a way to get materials to students through the teachers. They were sued by the book publishers for violation of copyright law, and the Second Circuit this past week came down against the Internet Archive, said it was not fair use, that in fact they were violating copyright law, potentially subject to significant damages, which would be pretty existentially awful for a nonprofit like the Archive. I'm assuming they'll appeal, which may end up in the Supreme Court, so we'll see. But it wasn't a great week for the Archive, and I agree with Doc's assessment. Brewster's an awesome guy.
Okay. Any more questions? Hands up if you have them. Otherwise, we can move on to the work group updates. Nicole.
Doc, I have a question about the way that supply and demand may incorporate reinforced collaborative tendencies in AI. To put simply, the more that you participate in a supply and demand type infrastructure, the more likely you are to respond to supplies and requests or demands, right? So it could potentially support like collaborative behavior.
Well, that's the idea. That's
Awesome.
why we started. That's why we started Project VRM back in 2006. One of those pictures of me where I last had hair was when that happened. It's interesting that, and I talk about this in the book. The term supply and demand was actually originally demand and supply, and it was coined by James Denham Stewart, who is one of the other bright lights of the Scottish Enlightenment, a contemporary and to some degree a colleague of Adam Smith, and his point of view, for that matter, Smith's point of view, is that it's the requirements of customers that cause the supply side to do whatever they do. I think it goes both ways. That's one reason why I say invention is the mother of necessity and not just the reverse. And that's what we need. We need inventions here that mother a necessity. If, my long view on this is that industry won the Industrial Revolution. And when industry won the Industrial Revolution, the condition of customer freedom and independence was to some degree lost. And so was worker independence. I mean, if your last name is Cooper or Smith or Farmer, I mean, that says what an ancestor of yours did. My own Searls is actually derived from a Norman word for a soldier. You had a role and you were called that in the world. And we lost that. Nobody names their kid, Joe sheet metal worker or middle manager anymore, you know, or ever.
It wouldn't
And
be catchy anyway.
yeah, but I mean, I think we have a real opportunity in the internet underneath all of it is basically a peer-to-peer system. It's point to point. It's
Right.
peer-to-peer. And Richard writes about that in his new book. You know, so, you know, there we go. Give him thumbs up. It's, you know, we have an opportunity here, and it's still early in the digital age. We're going to be digital for the duration. You know, we're not going to get rid of that. It's kind of like we learned how to speak. We're not going to stop speaking. Well, we learned how to network. We're not going to stop networking. And what do we build on that? We kind of continued the industrial age up into the current one, and we've equipped giant companies with the ability to control us more than ever. And the bad manners of marketers just went nuts once the internet came along. I mean, we are, if you listen to the language of marketing, which is something I was very glad to get out of, you know, but if you listen to what are people? They are targets that you acquire and you manage and control and you lock in as if they were slaves or cattle. And you say this without irony. And that's still the world we're in. That's what the $2 trillion ad tech business is based on. And we have to undermine that. We have to throw it away somehow. And we have to do that collaboratively. Obviously, I mean, I really believe in that. We have at Project VRM, we started with the premise that free customers are more valuable than captive ones to themselves and to the marketplace. This is something that's obvious if you go to a farmer's market, but it's not obvious if you go to Amazon. You're captive there. And
Sorry, but you're saying that by participating in something like an open market, we're enabling systems to learn the benefits of supply and demand, as well as positive treatment of the systems that provide demand and supply?
right, all of it. I mean,
Awesome.
you know, we could do so much more collaboratively than we could ever do as you know, puppets of giants. And we have to prove that. How do we prove it? Well, we just have to work on it. That's the deal.
Puppets loosely strung with good behavior.
Yeah,
Ideally.
right. Yeah.
Great.
So,
Okay. Thanks so much, Doc. Myra, why don't you get us back on schedule?
Okay, so let me go back to the last slide. I think we're at work group update.
Yeah, fantastic. And so it's either Balaji or Cyan to give us an update on where we are with the Pi Assistant.
Good morning, everyone. Regarding the Pi Assistant, this week we were focused on wrapping up everything that we have so far, which is basically creating the personas, creating the conversations between your assistant and all your files, and having not only conversations, but also like the chats, something like ChatGPT, where you have like specific topics for each system. So this week we're wrapping up all that, and we're preparing the first downloadable version that will be available today or Tuesday. We're just wrapping up and needed to do some testing and fix the documentation so you guys can download it. Also, we worked with the installer, so you can just install everything with one click without having to do any manual commands. But yeah, that's all the progress that we have done so far. We're almost there.
That's fantastic. I mean, it's just phenomenal work that has been done by the Arcus team and a few folks contributing from the Kwaai membership. But it's this is going to be well. There's a lot of expectations. There are a lot of organizations, colleges that are waiting for the software. They've been using the POC up until now, but this is a great step forward. So thanks so much. And those folks who want to come and see the demo, it's going to be on Tuesday at the weekly Pi Assistant work group meeting. Okay, let's get an update from the Pi OS. I know Sam just messaged us, said he's just boarded a plane, so maybe Robert Minning can give an update for the operating system progress.
Yeah, hi everybody. Had a really good week with the operating system. We've done a lot of work implementing the installer for the assistant. We're also doing the passkey authentication, which is being implemented. Patricia did a really good job. She's put together a URL redirect for the assistant, so you can pass along the assistant bots to other people using a URL, which is fantastic. And then we also had a really good discussion about user roles and user access control, which is also incredibly important for something like this, and limiting different admin rights and different user accessibilities for the operating system and for the assistant as well. So a lot of good things happening there. We have about 10 pull requests in the GitHub, so a lot of code has been pushed, ready to get pulled in, and getting everything ready to go for next week.
So this is on to, can I ask a question now?
Yeah.
So can I sit down this weekend and build my own personal assistant?
Not yet. Once we've released it, you would be able to do that. Yeah.
Because I did look at the previous version and it was a little bit too technical for me. So
right, it is. I mean, you can the POC, if you've got some. Well, if you've got your own GPU server and you've got some smarts, you can follow those instructions and redo what we've done on the website. That's what everyone's been doing up until now. That is that was developed in Q1. All this time, the Pi Assistant and the Pi OS, what we're really building is a multi-tenant solution, so that in the POC, one server can contain one bot, maybe two, but it's typically just one-to-one. But in the multi-tenant solution, one server can contain 100, maybe 1,000 bots, and we'd be able to switch between them. This thing that Robert was talking about the redirector, the URL by which you access the bot would determine which bot you're accessing and who you are as a user, and that would route you to one of the particular bots. So look, Andre, thanks so much. Bear with us, be patient. You're going to get to the point where you'll be able to click a button, build my bot, and it's just going to happen.
I have one more quick thing to add to that as well. The operating system side of things is kind of like a container in which the assistant is going to live in, and there's going to be multiple different assistants potentially for different organizations. And so they're all kind of coming together as one in a sense. And next week, I think there's going to be a lot more that we're going to be able to actually share and put your hands on, and you can play around with a little bit more.
Thanks. Sounds something to really look forward to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Let me give you. Okay. Well, thanks so much. I mean, that's the software is moving along at a healthy clip, and what we want to do is pass that on to release that into academia. We've got now I think 26 colleges have applied. So we've got lots of people waiting. Masu, your hand's up. Long time no see, Masu.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Hi, Reza. So it's been a while, so I might miss some of the conversation. But there is something that I want to discuss, maybe hear your feedbacks, see where you guys are with that particular comment. So it's a bit of a comment. Thank you, Doc, for the presentation. It was amazing. So I remember early on, when we were thinking about the product part of the things, there were discussion around technology, but also like the operational aspects of how we want to build this. And I felt just from the conversation today, I'm guessing like there's a bit of overlook in the human factor of what we're building. So we're looking things like the emotional, psychological impacts of the product that we're building. So my comments are twofold. One is I believe a lot of what is missing today in the human AI community, particularly around personal assistant, has to do with human AI symbiosis. So when you think about personal AI systems that could promote a true relationship between human and machine, I think that is very important, and that's currently missing. So we want to build something that is not a mere tool or augmentation, but rather augment that relationship in human decision making and creativity and things like that. And I think that that's probably a bit missing, and it has to do with kind of reflecting back how you're interacting with the tool.
Right.
and what are your kind of emotional factors or psychological states, and then bring it back. So that relationship, I think, is very important, and we don't know how we want to do it. I know it's a critical challenge, but we want to think about that, and that's particularly missing in a lot of the personal assistant today.
I think you're hitting the nail on the head. That's one huge opportunity, especially if you have a bot that is private to you. And you're going to treat it, even though the great Bruce Schneier says these are not your friends, people are going to want to interact with it, especially if it's personal. If you know that this information, it's not eavesdropping and spying on you, it is your friend, you're going to want to have a conversation with your own data. And that might be a support for your mental well-being, as well as sort of giving you a superpower in increased efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. They can loop up being your supporter, but also like your inspirer, and like you could always like trust it. So it brings me to the second point, which is quite interlined to what you were just saying, the customization versus security. So when you're dealing with a kind of outsider, a source, a tool, or something, you want to come to a point that you are vulnerable in your kind of trust that system in a way that you would share. So that potential security vulnerabilities is quite important. So we want to make sure that when you're building this system, there's going to be a lot of risk. There's going to be a lot of kind of trust and security involved, and you want to measure it. You want to measure and allow for personalization as you build the versions and as you kind of built and collected that data. So these 2 points, I believe, like are intertwined, but also a critical challenge.
Masu, I'd love it if you were to maybe even set up a work group within Kwaai to help to take the thoughts you have. I think there are lots of folks within Kwaai that have expressed similar sentiments, and this should be an important theme or cluster of requirements that go into our bots for the future.
Reza, lots of hands went up based on what Masu just said. So
yeah, great. Well, let me suggest that we take that conversation to the after party.
There you go.
And then we can hack on it in much more detail.
I'll put the link in the chat and I'll send it to you.
To keep us on schedule, so sorry for just rushing this on. To keep us on schedule, I'd like to give you an update of what's going on with the beta, and I'm tying that into what I'm doing on funding. And so I'm in the midst of applying for a grant. We are in the midst of applying for a grant, and it is a grant from the California Learning Labs. And so it's a $1.5 million grant, and the lead grantee is College of the Canyons. This college has been a good friend of ours. We held our first summit there a year ago, and they've been very supportive. So we are here is the sort of summary of the grant application. It is a chatbot that is meant for making the lives of professors easier. That's phase one. Phase one, we have this chatbot, and this has been in POC for quite a while. And we want to deploy that across up to 30 universities and colleges across the country. I think the grant will only support California colleges, and it is the grant would be considered would be enhanced if there's what they call intersegmental collaboration. So we've managed to get UCSF, the University College in San Francisco, to participate with us. So it's College of the Canyons and San Francisco, and we're jointly applying for this grant. And phase one is the question and answer chatbot. Phase two, we enhance it with more conversational capability, more multimodal capability and more multilingual capability. We'll also add to it kind of an orchestration, so you can create a flow of a sequence of queries that allows you to ask more complex things. The data involved, so maybe I can make this fit. There we go. The data from the schools shows that there's a performance underachievement in certain demographics within the schools. And it turns out that this is where AI chatbots can help. Currently, education is going through a bit of a crisis. It's beset by a perfect storm of calamities that includes in the sort of post-pandemic world and the economic downturn. It's meant that the way that we've structured colleges and universities doesn't suit the way that students now engage with education. The notion of a full-time student is a luxury few can afford. And so many have to study while holding down a full-time job. And so courses have gone online, and that means that you've got less interaction between the instructor and the student. Hey, here comes an AI chatbot that can give the instructor a superpower. It means that the instructor can load up the chatbot with their course curriculum material, and the students can now gain clarification by querying that chatbot 24/7. Don't have to email the professor now. So now you've got access to the course curriculum material using natural language, and that we hope is going to improve student outcomes. It certainly will take the burden off the instructors. Professors, we might free up 10 to up to 10 hours a week of out of hours support that they're currently giving. And so this is, I'm in the midst of this grant, and we're now getting a lot of collaboration. This seems to be a rich vein of activity. We just heard that the CSUs are also seeking a similar solution. And then Joe Suppers from Swissvolt has got us connected with Rutgers, and they are putting in a grant through New Jersey for exactly this system. And hey, here's the system. We've built it. We're really close to releasing it. And so I'm amazed that we're landing at the right place. So I think that's my beta and my sort of grant application update. Myra, what was next on the list? It was an update on the alignment project. And if Ryan or Steve want to give an update, I can actually share what the current progress is. But Steve, you were on the call yesterday. Maybe you want to talk about what the
Actually, I think it's better that Brian address the things that we can address here, and what is relevant to me will be discussed in the next meeting.
Fantastic. Okay. So Brian Ragazzi, if your microphone's working, I know your mic was not working last time. Otherwise, I can give an update if you're not there. Okay. So let me talk, and then if one of the members of the alignment team are going to join, that'd be great. Here is, I'm sharing the spreadsheet of here's what they've done. They've done a lot of work. In fact, if you look at the Slack analytics, this is probably one of the most active work groups. So here is the work they're doing. They are looking at all of the academic papers in journals that they could find that talk about alignment of AI to human values. These are guiding principles, frameworks for responsible AI, papers about eliminating bias and the like. And here's the exhaustive list. And what they're doing is they're assigning it to various volunteers who read the papers, read and understand it, and then create a summary. The purpose of this is to develop a survey paper, and we'll publish that survey paper. And hey, if you want to participate, there's a work group on Slack. There is, and the canvas inside that work group will lead you to all of the resources to allow you to contribute. If you contribute to that, your name will be on the paper as a co-author. And so here's the progress we've made so far. There are 89 papers identified. 39 remain unassigned. If you want to pick that up, look, you don't need to be an AI developer to do this. You just need to be able to read and understand and have some element of AI, of critical thinking, and that's how you can participate.
So I just want to plug here as well that I think we are looking for people. So if you do want to help out, please, this is definitely an area where I think the alignment team really appreciate your help.
Fantastic. Okay, let's wrap it there. We've got like 5 minutes for community voices.
That went by too fast. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to stop presenting. Let's hear from
new members. Come on.
And John Connors, your hand went up. I know you're not a new member, but let's hear from you.
Yeah, I'm not a new member, but the Personal AI Hackathon series is coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where I currently live, in September 12th through the 15th. And I just was wondering if there's anybody who's inspired by personal fintech. I've got a already money made revenue positive, less tax US tax practice. And I was wondering if they could get a team together to build a strategy bot. I really want to democratize tax strategy for those who are, ideologically aligned with paying as little tax as humanly possible. So, I mean, this is something that I think is perfect for PyOS. I'd like to build it on PyOS. I'm more a product-focused guy, marketing-focused guy, and finance-focused guy. So I'd need some tech development help if people are interested. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be the 12th through the 15th, and it'll be here in Tulsa, and we can communicate on the Kwaai Slack if you feel like joining, or the Discord that the team's created. So
this is perfect, John. This is the sort of thing that we've been imagining would sort of spring out of the membership. So what you're doing is you're creating an ability for a financial planning assistant. This is fantastic, and building it on top of iOS makes a heap of sense. Okay,
just in time for tax season next year.
Yes, indeed.
Great. Okay, I know we've got some new members. I think, and I'll call on you if you don't put your hand up. So we've got Roba, and Roba, I think you did speak during the week. It'd be great to hear from you. Tell us about yourself and what brings you to Kwaai.
Yeah. Hi. My name is Roba. I am currently a software engineer at Intel. And before that, I used to be in the research field more than developing. I joined Kwaai because, God, I'm very terrible with names. Someone messaged me on LinkedIn and told me about Kwaai, and so I checked it out, and I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. So yeah, I want to contribute and be part of the movement.
Fantastic. Okay, and you've been active on a couple of work group meetings already.
Yep.
So I love the enthusiasm. You just got in there, inserted yourself in the conversation, and
yeah, I learn by doing. So
yeah, and you're setting a great example for others. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm happy.
And where are you based?
Denver, Colorado.
Denver, Colorado. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, if there are any, like if there's a hackathon, John was talking about hackathons, but he's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. But if we do have activities around the country, stay in touch, and that I know they'd love software development participation.
Yeah, just to know, we could definitely connect digitally, regardless of being in person in Tulsa. It's a digital in-person hybrid, just to let you know.
Oh, great.
Right. Okay, I see a few other new names. Don't be shy. Speak up, put your hands up, and say hi. We follow this. I'm going to talk. Interrupt me if you want to introduce yourself. We follow this meeting with the after party, the idea exchange meeting. The link is in.
It is. It's pinned.
You've got the link in there. That's great. And this is a way of taking a topic or two and devoting a lot more time to discussing it. So I think we've got a couple of topic items that we want to discuss. So we'll move over straight to that. Gosh, the 58th Kwaai Day. It's really
nowhere near retirement, though, right?
Retirement. We've got some interesting speakers coming up next week and the week after. We've got Scott Glosserman. Scott Glosserman created this platform called Gather. It's a way of crowdsourcing audiences for various activities. I know him because I helped develop the platform a long while ago. Gosh, over a decade ago. And the week after that, we've got Rika Nakazawa from NTT. So NTT is deeply committed to bringing AI to the edge, and so she's the right person to engage with. So looking forward to that. We are toying with the idea of not toying with that. We're actually going to do it. We're going to move off Google Meet, and we're going to move to Zoom. And there are loads of people that are really happy about that. I think we've outgrown Google Meet, and at least for the weekly public meeting, we're going to move it over to Zoom, and we might start as soon as next week to do that. So bear with us. We're doing some testing midweek, and we'll publish a new link.
But it'll still be the Google invite, but maybe we can send
we still use Gmail and G Suite.
Yeah. So you should all be getting an updated invite. We'll also make sure we'll let you know everywhere that it's been changed. We'll send out a couple of reminders just so nobody's looking for the link on Friday. So just
the link will always be on the website, so you don't need the invite. The link will always be on the website. Great. So I'm gonna hop over to the next meeting.
Everyone there.
Links in the chat. If I don't speak to you again today, have a great weekend. I'm going to be in the Bay Area Monday, Tuesday, and back here at my desk Wednesday. Keep well, everybody. Happy Kwaai Day.
Happy Kwaai Day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Reza, remember our call at 2:30.